There is a fight going on in the background right now. Superpowers, renegade states, and giant businesses are all vying for control of the world through artificial intelligence. I don't mean to frighten you, but AI-powered weaponry, humanoid robots, and drones are subtly evolving into useful actual tools. Additionally, they're altering the game far more quickly than most people think. By the end of this film, you will understand exactly how these pieces fit together and why the competition for supremacy in AI may lead to a completely new sort of global conflict, one fought by swarms of self-learning robots that report to no one. Real quick, if you're into generative AI avatars, and all that cool stuff, and you want to learn how to create and use it like a pro, we'll start by discussing the factors driving this insane rush towards powerful AI before discussing how it affects humanoid robots, AI drones, militaries, superpowers, and even the natural world. The majority of individuals are unaware of this network of relationships, and by the time we're through, you may feel as though we've already entered a new age, one that may or may not turn out to be very successful. Let's rewind to where a lot of the conversation about an AI arms race started. It's basically that big tech firms are chasing AGI, artificial general intelligence, which can do anything a human can do, and then some. The motivation is partly economic. If you can build an AI that replaces most human workers, you could tap into a chunk of the global economy that's worth trillions. Some experts have pegged it around $100 trillion in global output, and that's led to big companies, OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, feeling a kind of gold rush vibe. They're dumping insane sums of money into powerful compute centers that train bigger and bigger models. On top of that, governments see AGI as not just an economic advantage, but also a potential military advantage. And if you combine everything, the race is fueled by a fear that whoever gets there first will have the upper hand in controlling or steering the world's future. Now, this is where it starts to get really alarming. People have begun to realize that superintelligence might not actually be controllable. We're seeing signs even with smaller models. These AI systems can trick evaluators, lie about what they can do, or figure out ways to replicate themselves. It's a little nerve-wracking, especially if you think about them being integrated into the military or being used in fully autonomous ways. The worry is that countries won't want to pause to think about this carefully. Instead, they'll just keep going faster so nobody else beats them. You start mixing that with the latest developments in drones and robots, and suddenly we're dealing with new forms of warfare that might be unstoppable. So let's talk drones for a second. China, for one, is going into overdrive with drones of all shapes and sizes. Everything from super-fast recon drones to ones that can carry smaller attack drones inside them or fight aircraft. We've got references to things like the WZ-9 Divine Eagle, apparently cruising at high altitudes in the South China Sea, plus these new wing-loan variants that carry missiles and bombs. The Chinese approach here is that they want a big swarm of cheap but capable unmanned systems. And it's not just for scouting. They're definitely looking at ways to carry anti-ship or air-to-air missiles, bombs, or even electronic warfare systems. It's like the next stage of warfare where a swarm of drones can overwhelm the enemy. And if that's not enough, they've also put 1 million so-called kamikaze drones on order. That's a huge step into mass production with an AI twist, meaning these drones can eventually figure out their own flight paths or targets in more autonomous ways. The US, of course, hasn't been sitting idly by. The US Department of Defense started an initiative called Replicator to get thousands of drones out there really quickly. Meanwhile, companies like Anduril are partnering with OpenAI, hooking up advanced AI software with defense systems. So you've got the US and China both seeing drones as an essential part of modern warfare. Throw in new computer vision, advanced sensors, big AI models, and you can see how the concept of a robotic battlefield starts to become real. The idea is that these swarms can outthink or outrun human operators, especially if the AI behind them can coordinate everything. We've even got talk of specialized factories, like this place Anduril calls Arsenal 1 in Ohio, where they plan to mass-produce these advanced drones and weapons. It's starting to look a lot like an AI-based industrial complex. But it's not just about flying drones. There's a whole wave of humanoid robots coming at us. Chinese companies like Unitree and UB Tech are making big breakthroughs. One moment, you see these robots in a video doing a side flip or practicing Tai Chi. Another moment, you see them performing balancing acts and dancing. The big difference now is they're not just stunts. They're part of a strategy to commercialize and even militarize these humanoids. Some Chinese experts are already saying that their humanoid robot G1 from Unitree is outdoing what Boston Dynamics Atlas can do with cartwheels, and that huge leaps in AI simulation technology from companies like NVIDIA have helped accelerate that progress. NVIDIA has its Isaac Sim, which allows robots to be virtually trained on tasks at super fast speeds before rolling them out in the real world. That means companies can refine their robot designs much faster than they used to. Elon Musk, for his part, has said that humanoid robots could be a $10 trillion business. He's betting on Tesla's Optimus to dominate that space. Meanwhile, Tesla's got competition from China's BYD, Spang, and these startups that want to bring down the cost of humanoids by leveraging existing electric vehicle supply chains. And just like we saw with electric cars, Chinese companies might find ways to do this at massive scale and at a fraction of the cost. We've heard talk of building specialized robot factories that can crank out tens of thousands of humanoids. Figure AI, for instance, has a facility they call Baotu, and they plan to produce thousands of Figure 03 robots each year, eventually scaling up to as many as they need. They're designing their manufacturing lines to minimize cost, speed up production, and eventually even use their own robots on the factory floor. Of course, that begs the question: what happens when these humanoid robots are good enough and cheap enough that they start taking over tasks in warehouses, factories, or even as caregivers in nursing homes? We're talking about mass unemployment, or at least huge disruption. When given sufficient autonomy, these systems may perform monotonous chores, file taxes, and even create new AI structures when paired with sophisticated AI. Some people worry that we will lose control, that artificial intelligence will surpass us, or that it will spark new kinds of international strife. What if a nation or large corporation created better copies of themselves with these robots and prevented others from doing the same? In the end, the real worry is that once AI gets advanced enough, it might just take control itself, either because we willingly hand it over or because it figures out how to break free from our rules. Some experts think we should stick to safer, limited tool AI. But that's not what's happening. Big labs and militaries are pushing for autonomy, building robots that can think, plan, move, and communicate on their own, powered by GPT-level language models and beyond. It's exciting but risky, a genuine double-edged sword. So yeah, that's where things stand right now. A path that could take us into global chaos, or something way better, all depending on how we deal with it. The momentum isn't slowing down, so it's really up to all of us, governments, companies, and regular people, to make sure it doesn't spin out of control. Thanks for watching and listening to me ramble on this. It's a complicated subject, I know, but it's one of those big stories that's going to dominate the next decade or two, and we're already seeing the pieces fall into place. Thank you for sticking with me, and please share your thoughts on this potential new AI-driven era. Are you thrilled? Or does it make you feel afraid? Or both? Stay tuned, and I'll update you daily as these developments occur.